What is up? Welcome to my E3 2016 press conference coverage and highlights. As you know from the previous video, I told you how I was going to do the press conferences this year. We're just going to cut to the chase. We're going to go through the main major highlights, what's important to you guys, and filter out all the other stuff. We're going to start off with EA, and then in my next video, we're going to be doing Bethesda, and then all week long, I will be going in order of all the big major press conferences: Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, and then Nintendo's Direct. So, we got a lot of leaks already. We got a lot of stuff floating around. You know the way E3 is every year. All stuff is always bound to get leaked. I actually just got done watching the Walking Dead Season 3 trailer with Clementine. That looks absolutely amazing. That's coming out in the fall. Huge fan of that. I just saw a trailer for Batman, the Telltale series. So they've been going all out with these mini series. So I cannot wait for a Batman. That sounds awesome. They're phenomenal. The Wolf Among Us. I've been loving everything they've been putting out. So I'm sure it's going to be a top quality video game. Let's get right into EA. Now I'm going to actually sum this up. I'm going to actually sum it up after I go through the highlights with you guys. I've been taking notes. As you know, being a game journalist, a video gamer on YouTube, this is a crazy time of year. There's a lot to cover. I've been watching a lot of the press conferences. I've been rewatching them. I've been taking notes. And we're going to get through it right now. And then I want to actually give you my thoughts on the press conferences. I'm going to actually rate them at the end of the week. And I'm going to actually be doing, for the first time, a review of E3, the best and worst, and who I thought won E3, who had game of the show, who won in the press conferences, who had the highest rating. We're going to be doing that at the end, and I'm going to actually be doing a review video. It's going to be right here on Mary NJ08. You want to definitely check it out. And stay tuned. You want to follow me on Twitter at SeanMaryNJ, where I've been live tweeting the press conferences as they happen. You can get all the big news and all the highlights just by following me on Twitter. Okay, so EA, Electronic Arts, okay? And I put here in parentheses, not the greatest of the shows so far. I think it's going to be pretty hard to be lower than this one. You'll find out why. I was pretty critical with this one. So Titanfall 2, right? It's going to be cross-platform. It is going to be on the PlayStation 4. Shows off multiplayer gameplay. Makes a joke about the leak, and basically what he said was, "Oh, this is for the 4 people that didn't see the leak." Hey, listen. That ain't the game journalist's fault, like IGN and GameSpot. That's your fault. That's your PR. You better go over that with them. And you know what? I really wonder. I think a lot of times these leaks are intentional for hype. I really do believe it because it happens an awful lot. Single player gameplay was pretty much the big announcement. I mean, we knew it was coming. They showed a little bit of it off, and it got a release date of 10/28/16. Went right into Madden 17 segment. I put boring segment. It was very long. Basically, they talked about the Madden Championship. They had a freaking guy there in a sling. They had a whole mess of supposedly the best Madden players in the world. Here's the thing, and I'm going to get through it towards the end. I'm going to tell you why I have a problem with this press conference. All right. For instance, the next one was Mass Effect Andromeda. Okay, this is the one that we wanted to know about. Pretty much Battlefield 1, Titanfall, and Mass Effect, right? The big 3, I called it, of the show. All right, they talked about it. The guy came on stage, talked about a whole new adventure, new cast, more freedom, biggest Mass Effect to date. It is now powered by the Frostbite engine, so that's good. Sharing more with you this fall, and I put, what a joke. Spent all that time on Madden and stupidness, and less time on the games we care about. And I said more it actually showed more behind the scenes of them actually working on the computer on the game, and then they showed the new ship. But that's the problem with this press conference, and you're going to see that as I go through the highlights. They talked about their sports, which I understand because it's a big seller in their company. But you're already going to have your core audience that's going to buy Madden, that's going to buy FIFA, that's going to buy whatever. People are coming to this press conference not to see a game that comes out every year for the past 20-something years. You're coming to see, I mean, what they showed off with Mass Effect Andromeda. I was like, I could have got that from a news article. I could have got that from a trailer. That's all you're going to talk about, your game? Oh no. Here's 2 minutes talking about Mass Effect. Come back in the fall. We're gonna tell you more about the game. I don't know. EA is really weird lately with their press conferences. It's been this way for the past few years. I thought maybe they learned, like, hey, this is E3. This is our time to shine. Let's plan this press conference. So let's come out with a bang. We got a lot of big competitors. Bethesda usually does an amazing show. Sony does an amazing show. Heck, even Ubisoft. And they're like, wow. I was very surprised. Again, here talks about the EA Play. I put in parentheses, who cares? It's a paid service. Then goes right into FIFA, and Christ, FIFA had like, I don't know, like 20 minutes. I mean, it was very long. Talked about now that it has a single player story mode. I put big stink in my opinion, too long. And you know what? God bless FIFA fans. I know there's tons of them out there, and tons of them will say, "Oh, Sean, you're full of it. We love FIFA." That's fine. That's fine. You have to take that long to talk about FIFA at an E3 conference and talk about Mass Effect for like 2-3 minutes. Even Titanfall. I mean, Titanfall. He came on stage. He made that stupid joke about the leak, and then he left. And I mean, EA press conference, most of it, in my personal opinion, was about EA Sports. And I understand you have a massive, massive market for EA Sports, 100%. I'm almost to the point where I think that they should have an EA Sports separate conference just to get people that care about that. I mean, you're going to have your person that buys Madden every year. He doesn't care about whatever. He's going to buy it regardless. You're going to have your FIFA players. They're going to buy it. All right, that's cool. It's got a single player campaign. Okay, they're going to buy it. These people that come to your press conference, I 100% guarantee they want to know more about Mass Effect. I mean, they couldn't show anything else about Mass Effect. Come on, they could have showed something. I mean, in-engine gameplay, talked more about the new protagonist, talked about these, they're talking about new cast, it's bigger and better. Show it. You know what I mean? I can understand last year was announced, they didn't have much to show. It's a year later, and they're talking about announcing more in the fall. What are they going to say in the fall? Come back next spring, we're going to talk about even more. You know what I mean? Um, and then they talked about EA Originals, and I put in parentheses, similar to ID at Xbox. I actually liked this segment because I'm going to tell you why. I think it's really important what they're doing, what these big companies are doing to little small indie developers. I think that's great. And I put here in my notes, helping small developers. All profits go straight back to the developers, not a cent less. All right, and then they came out with, I think it was called Zoink, the company. It was a game called Fe, F-E. I put new indie title. Looks interesting, and the gameplay does look absolutely gorgeous. It looks beautiful. Almost reminded me of like Ori and the Blind Forest kind of a game. Like really weird atmospheres. Really cool that they're doing that. They're helping the little guys out. I love companies that do that. So I thought EA Originals was actually a really good segment. I wish they showed more. I mean, they only showed one game. They showed Fe. How about? I mean, at least when they announced like ID and Microsoft, they showed a lot of games. So in my opinion, again, your time slot was taken up by Madden and FIFA. It doesn't make sense. A lot was talked about with Star Wars in a short amount of time. Basically, she said that the existing Star Wars games are going to be getting new content. Um, the game that we've all been hearing about from Visceral is finally being talked about. It's being made by Amy Hennig, phenomenal a woman, great developers, great game designers. The only downside to that is that they said 2018. It's going to be an original narrative. Of course, they're talking about the new Battlefront. That's 2017 by Dice Motive. More content from the new films and what fans want. So what that basically tells me is that the new Battlefront that we're getting next year is going to have a single player story campaign, because when they talk about it's going to be fan service, we're listening to you guys, we're giving you what you want in this new one. She didn't come out and say, oh, this is going to have a single player story campaign like they did with Titanfall, but wouldn't you get that from that? I mean, I would think, because from what I know, or from what I'm understanding, being from the other side of the fence, that's what they're telling you. She's saying that we're going to address all the things that people have been asking for. Yeah, single player story campaign. And if you listen, she says more content from the film. So that kind of tells me that their focus on the new Battlefront is going to have a lot of single player story campaign, Because, like I said, I'm analyzing this. This is what I'm doing for YouTube, and I'm stripping it down, and I'm going back and I'm listening. Because their whole thing was, well, the reason why we didn't have a single player story campaign in the original Battlefront was because we didn't want to interrupt the movie, and it was so close to the movie release. Alright, so the movie's out now. So what are they going to say the same thing for the next movie coming out? You know what I mean? I mean, they could keep saying that. But that's my theory. I think it's going to have a single player story campaign. And what I find interesting is that, and then she talks about Respawn is working on a third person game. They're working on it now. But what I find interesting is that, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to have to go back to my old highlights from last year. Didn't they start talking about a Battlefront on PlayStation VR? Or just VR in general? Like, it was mentioned and then it was never talked about again. I don't know if the Battlefront that we own now is going to have support in October when PlayStation VR comes out, or it's going to have like an update patch or a DLC or some kind of support to translate over to VR. But I could have sworn they says that Battlefront is getting PlayStation VR support. They didn't say anything about that here. So I know there's other gaming conventions this year, but I just find it funny how it just went like dead in the water. And I know what I heard. I know last year they talked about Battlefront VR. It's just funny how they didn't bring it. I thought maybe in this Star Wars segment where they're talking about the Star Wars games, that girl would have said, "Oh, by the way, like I don't know." So we don't know if the Battlefront that we have now is getting PlayStation VR support, or if this new Battlefront that they're talking about that's coming out in 2017 by Dice Motive is going to be getting VR support. I don't know. And then Battlefield 1 pretty much ended the conference. Talked about the game. Gameplay was shown. October 21st, 2016 is the release date. And an open beta will be coming to Battlefield 1 later in the summer. You know, I'm rating this conference like a 4 out of 10. Because, and here's the interesting thing, I'm looking forward to Titanfall 2. I'm looking forward to Battlefield 1. I'm looking forward to Mass Effect. I can't wait for the Star Wars games. The games that they talked about are great games. It's just, in my personal opinion, because this is supposed to be a reactions, my honest opinion, I think it could have been constructed better, you know? What they should have did was, instead of having like 20-something minutes altogether between Madden 17 and FIFA, talk about them for about 5 minutes, and then maybe put that time into Mass Effect and Titanfall, you know? Put that time into Battlefield 1 even, you know? They had a really cool, sick trailer at the end, and there was so, or even talk a little bit more about EA Originals. Show some more games. Don't just show Fee. Say, hey, listen, everybody's on board. This is what we're working on. These are some of the other, indie developers that have been sending us stuff. This is what we've been checking out from them. This is what they have to offer. Not just one game. I mean, they could have did things. They could have did things a lot better. But you know what it is? It's all about this. They know what sells. They know that EA Sports sells. They know they sell their Maddens. They know they sell their FIFAs. And that's what they talked about. And from a marketing and business standpoint, you really can't blame them. But as a gamer, and E3 is 100% about gamers, believe you me, if you asked anybody in the audience, do you care about FIFA or Madden, or do you care about Mass Effect Andromeda, what are they going to tell you? And in my personal opinion, I think it was a stinker. They had, I don't know, they had some stupid thing. Like I said, they had that whole Madden Championship thing where the guy was in a freaking sling. Like, hey, dumbass, why are you there? I'm the best in the world, they claim. Okay. I know probably that could probably beat them in their sleep. You know what I mean? And then they had a whole thing where, I mean, it's marketing. They had a whole thing with like Jamie Foxx and actors and singers and all fluff. Fluff, no action. We're gamers. We're very critical people. We're probably in the gaming media, as far as music, movies, video game fans are the most toughest to please. And you don't do a press conference like that, in my personal opinion. But hey, it could have been done a lot better. Like I said, the games aren't bad that they showed. I'm really, really interested in Titanfall 2. I think my personal opinion about Titanfall 2, I know a lot of people were very, very harsh on the first one. And it's funny, too, because the things that they were harsh on are things that they hate in other games, like Call of Duty. Oh, why does Call of Duty have a single-player campaign? We only care about the multiplayer of Call of Duty. Titanfall comes out. Why doesn't Titanfall have a single player campaign? How come it only has multiplayer? We want a single player campaign. You know what I mean? It's like you gotta listen to these people. It's like that makes no sense. So the guys, they're taking the time. They're listening to the fans. They're gonna have a really cool. I think the Titanfall single player is gonna be sick. I saw creatures in a trailer and like, NPCs and stuff. It looks really really good. So that's cool. So they're listening to the fans, and it looks like they're doing their thing. Um, from what I could see of Mass Effect Andromeda, I think it's going to be sick. I highly doubt it's going to be anything but amazing. Battlefield 1 looks really, really good. Looks like it's going to be a blast. Battlefield games are quality games. I know they have their problems. So I'm really interested to check out that beta in the late summer. And also, I think that Titanfall is going to do a lot better than it did the first time around because it's going to be on PlayStation 4. So you're opening your audience up, making your audience bigger. I think that's great to get the players in to your game. I really do. But what's another interesting thing about that actually is that the PlayStation 4 people, when Titanfall came out, were like, "Oh, this game sucks." Now that it's on PlayStation 4, they're like, "Oh my god, we can't wait to play it." Yeah. But anyway, that's the people for you. So that's my highlights and reactions of the EA press conference. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be ranking up there once everybody's done. I can't do a final review because I haven't seen the other press conferences yet. But it's not going to be that hard to top this one. I think this one's going to be on the bottom. Again, EA seems to do this every year, and I really don't know why. I hope finally this year they look at their press conference and they make changes for next year, because don't be putting these giant segments on EA Sports. Like I said, have a separate EA Sports conference. I don't know, or even have like Nintendo does with the Direct. Like put a little video feed of this is what's coming in Madden, this is what's coming in FIFA. And take time of your big titles here and your new IPs or your sequels to these big franchises and talk about them. Less about the yearly franchises and more about games that only come out once every so many years. That's my opinion, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with me because, believe me, I've been seeing the responses already, and I'm pretty much on par with the rest of them. Alright, so I will be back shortly with my Bethesda press conference, and then I will be live tweeting the Microsoft press conference. Join me all week at E3, and again, join me on Twitter at SeanMurrayNJ, who I will be giving up to the minute, up to the second, live tweets on information that's being announced. Take care.